62% of what you pay for a premium houseplant at a major garden retailer does not go toward the plant's health, its root development, or its genetic quality. It goes toward branded pots, curated aesthetic packaging, and shelf placement fees that the grower never sees. 10 plants sold at household names across North America carry a reputation for good energy, natural beauty, and wellness benefits. 5 of them are backed by nothing more than folklore, rebranded as lifestyle content, sold to you at markups between 200 and 400% over wholesale nursery cost. The other 5 have documented physiological effects, peer-reviewed toxicology profiles, and ethno-ecological records that tell a story the price tag never mentions. 5 plants that are quietly working against your home environment, and 5 that actually justify the shelf space. Starting at number 10 with a plant whose reputation outpaces its biology by a very wide margin. Number 10, the pothos. Specifically the golden and neon varieties marketed under premium indoor plant brands. Retails between $18 and $45 at major chains including Bloomscape and The Sill, with single trailing specimens reaching $60 when sold in branded ceramic containers. The Sill, operating under a funding structure that has raised over $7 million in venture capital, prices the same Epipremnum aureum, cutting that wholesale nurseries in Florida and California supply for between $1.50 and $3 per 4-inch pot. That is a documented retail markup of between 1,400 and 2,900%, depending on container and branding. The plant itself is ASPCA listed as toxic to cats and dogs, causing oral irritation, vomiting, and difficulty swallowing upon ingestion. The National Capital Poison Center maintains an active advisory on the species. The wellness narrative attached to this plant, the idea that it purifies air and brings positive energy, originates from a widely misquoted 1989 NASA Clean Air study, a study conducted in sealed, unventilated spacecraft conditions with plant-to-room volume ratios that would require between 680 and 870 individual plants to replicate a measurable effect in a standard living room, according to a 2019 analysis published in the Journal of Exposure Science and Environmental Epidemiology. The result: you are not buying air purification. You are buying a venture-backed aesthetic brand built on a study that does not support its claims. The pothos market has an outsized markup, but among commonly sold houseplants, this is only the beginning. Number 9. The peace lily, Spathiphyllum wallisii, sold at Home Depot, Lowe's, and Trader Joe's garden sections at prices ranging from $12 to $35 and at premium plant boutiques for up to $85 in glazed planters. Spathiphyllum is consistently promoted as a symbol of tranquility, harmony, and household peace. Across TikTok, Pinterest, and influencer-driven plant content, it is among the 5 most recommended plants for bedrooms and nurseries. What is not in the promotional content is that the peace lily contains calcium oxalate crystals throughout all plant tissue, a documented irritant that causes immediate burning of the mouth and throat, nausea, and in children under 4 years old, potential airway swelling, according to the American Association of Poison Control Centers, which logged over 1,200 peace lily exposure cases in a recent reported year. The parent company structure is not a single brand here, but a commodity supply chain. The majority of peace lilies sold in the United States originate from 3 large-scale growers in Florida, primarily in the Apopka region, which wholesale the same genetic stock to luxury plant brands and discount retailers alike. A peace lily at Bloomscape and a peace lily at your local Walmart share the same Florida nursery origin at a wholesale cost between 80 cents and $2 per unit. The markup is applied entirely at the retail and branding layer. Verdict: the peace and peace lily is a marketing position, not a botanical property. Number 8. The cactus assortment category, specifically small decorative cacti sold under wellness and minimalist lifestyle branding at retailers including Urban Outfitters, Anthropology, and specialty plant boutiques, retailing between $8 and $35 per unit for specimens with a wholesale value between 30 cents and $1.20. Urban Outfitters, a division of URBN with annual revenues above $4 billion, applies brand licensing and retail positioning fees that represent the primary cost driver for its plant category. The cacti themselves are sourced from large-scale propagators in Arizona, California, and imported from Mexico and the Netherlands, with no differentiation in genetic quality, growing medium, or aftercare guidance between a $30 boutique specimen and a $4 Home Depot equivalent. Beyond the pricing structure, cacti in the context of interior design carry a documented feng shui advisory that has been cited across traditional Chinese medicine and Vastu Shastra traditions. Plants with sharp projections, concentrated near entryways, workspaces, or sleeping areas are associated with what practitioners describe as aggressive or disruptive environmental energy. This is not a scientifically testable claim, but it represents a cultural consensus from three distinct geographic traditions spanning East Asia, South Asia, and Central America, which is a more coherent body of agreement than the peer-reviewed evidence supporting the wellness branding these same retailers use to sell them. For the consumer, the premium is paid for the URBN aesthetic brand, not the plant's health profile or cultural suitability. Number 7, the oleander, Nerium oleander, sold at garden centers and big box home improvement stores including Home Depot and Lowe's at prices between $15 and $60 depending on size, frequently marketed as a hardy, beautiful flowering shrub for indoor and outdoor display. If you think the calcium oxalate issue with peace lily is the worst toxicology profile in this ranking, the next entry moves the conversation into a different category entirely. Oleander contains cardiac glycosides throughout every part of the plant, including the leaves, stems, flowers, and roots. The compounds, primarily oleandrin and nerine, affect cardiac muscle function. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals classifies oleander as severely toxic to dogs, cats, and horses. Poison control data documents human poisoning cases from ingestion, smoke inhalation when branches are burned, and in rare cases from skin contact followed by eye touching. A documented case series published in clinical toxicology literature includes fatalities in children following ingestion of single leaves. The plant is sold openly at general audience retail locations with labeling that reads drought tolerant and full sun without toxicology disclosure on standard point of sale materials. At the retail markup level, oleander is a commodity landscape plant sourced from wholesale growers at costs between $2 and $8 per unit depending on container size, with standard garden center markups of 200 to 400% applied at retail. Verdict: the beauty is genuine, the risk profile is not on the label. Number 6, the Sansevieria snake plant, sold under brand names including Costa Farms O2 for You line and through the Sills premium tier, retailing between $25 and $95 for specimens with a wholesale nursery cost between $150 and $5. Costa Farms, the largest ornamental plant producer in North America, with annual revenues estimated above $500 million by trade press, operates the snake plant as a core SKU in its branded wellness positioning. The plant is marketed with explicit air purification claims, oxygen production claims, and bedroom health claims based on its CAM photosynthesis pathway, which does produce a small amount of CO2 absorption at night. The quantification of that effect relative to room volume is not disclosed in marketing materials. A 2022 review in the journal Plants assessed CAM plant oxygen contribution in residential settings and found the effect to be physiologically negligible at standard indoor densities. Additionally, Sansevieria is ASPCA listed toxic to cats and dogs, with gastrointestinal effects documented upon ingestion. The most significant consumer issue here is the holding strategy. Costa Farms supplies snake plants to both its premium O2 for You branded line and to commodity retail channels including Walmart and Home Depot, with identical propagation stock, identical Florida growing conditions, and identical growing medium. The price differential between a Walmart snake plant and an O2 for You snake plant at a specialty retailer can reach 400% for equivalent specimens. Before we continue, there are 4 things you can check before buying any plant sold with a wellness, air quality, or energy claim. First, read the ASPCA toxicity database before bringing any plant into a home with children under 6 or pets. It is a free, searchable public database. Any plant not listed there or listed as non-toxic clears the first filter. Any plant listed as toxic that a retailer is marketing as a bedroom or nursery plant should be treated with direct skepticism. Second, run your fingernail along the leaf or stem in the store. Plants with calcium oxalate crystals, the white sap that comes out of peace lily and pothos stems, will leave a faintly milky residue. Not a test for toxicity on its own, but a fast indicator of the oxalate family of compounds. Third, look up the parent company. Search the brand name plus parent company or acquired by. If a premium price plant brand and a value price brand at the same store share a holding, they almost certainly share a grower. The price difference is entirely brand positioning. Fourth, buy the same plant in a plain nursery pot at a local grower or garden center, take it home, repot it in a container you choose, and compare the result to the branded version. In blind trials run by consumer plant communities documented on Reddit's Houseplants forum with thousands of participant reports, the survival and growth rate differential between identically cared for plants is statistically negligible between premium and commodity sources of the same species. Every analysis on this channel runs through these same filters. No brand partnerships, no sponsored placements. If that methodology is useful to you, you already know where the button is. Number 5, Ficus benjamina, the weeping fig, one of the most widely distributed indoor plants in North America and Europe, retailing between $20 and $120 depending on size and retailer, with specialty specimens reaching $200 at curated plant boutiques. Ficus benjamina is one of the top documented allergen-producing houseplants in clinical literature. A study published in Allergy, European Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology identified Ficus benjamina as a significant cause of occupational and residential allergy, with sensitization rates documented in exposed populations in the range of 2 to 12%. The allergen, a latex-related protein called ficin, is released from cut stems and leaf surfaces during normal handling and pruning, and becomes airborne in fine particulates shed from leaves. Individuals sensitized to natural rubber latex have documented cross-reactivity with ficus allergens. The plant's trade distribution runs through a consolidated wholesale network dominated by large Dutch and Israeli propagators supplying the same genetic stock to luxury boutiques and mass-market garden centers. The markup differential between a Ficus benjamina at a West Elm adjacent plant boutique and the same species at a Home Depot runs between 300 and 600% for equivalent pot sizes. The wellness narrative around ficus, indoor greenery, natural living, biophilic design does not account for the allergen profile in any standard retail presentation. The premium here is paid for lifestyle adjacency, not plant quality or health compatibility. Number 5 closes the half of this ranking where what you pay for is the brand, the pot, and the wellness story. The next entry opens the half where your money actually goes to the plant. Number 4, Chlorophytum comosum, the spider plant, retailing between $4 and $15 at garden centers, grocery stores, and big box retailers, with propagating offsets frequently available free from existing plant owners. A 6-week study published in Hort Science examined spider plant performance against a panel of volatile organic compounds, including formaldehyde and xylene, in controlled chamber conditions and found measurable absorption rates. Specifically, a documented 95% reduction in formaldehyde concentration over 24 hours in sealed test chambers at moderate plant density. The study protocol is replicable and has been cited in subsequent horticultural literature. Chlorophytum comosum is listed as non-toxic to cats, dogs, and humans by the ASPCA, which makes it one of the few commonly sold ornamental plants to clear that standard entirely. The plant propagates through stolons that produce genetically identical offshoots at no cost once the parent plant is established, making its long-run cost to the consumer effectively zero after initial purchase. Wholesale cost to retailers runs between 50 cents and $2 for standard 4-inch specimens. The absence of a premium brand architecture around spider plants is precisely what keeps their price aligned with their actual production cost. Here, the price and the plant are in honest alignment. Number 3, Lavandula angustifolia, English lavender, sold at garden centers, specialty herb nurseries, and online growers at prices between $8 and $25 per established plant, without the brand premium architecture applied to ornamental wellness plants. A peer-reviewed clinical study published in Phytomedicine documented statistically significant reductions in anxiety and sleep latency in a group of 221 adults using orally administered lavender oil standardized extract over a 10-week period. A separate study in the International Journal of Neuropsychopharmacology identified linalool, the primary active compound in Lavandula angustifolia, as a compound that modulates GABA receptors in a manner consistent with anxiolytic activity. The direct inhalation pathway from a living plant is not equivalent to standardized oral extract, and this channel does not claim otherwise. What is documentable is that Lavandula angustifolia produces measurable atmospheric linalool concentrations in enclosed spaces, and that linalool has a verified mechanism of action in peer-reviewed pharmacological literature. Lavender is ASPCA non-toxic to dogs, mildly irritating to cats in large ingested quantities, but not acutely toxic. The wholesale to retail markup on lavender plants is standard garden center territory, 150 to 250%, without the additional brand premium layer that inflates ornamental houseplant pricing. Verdict: the science behind lavender is partial, but it is real, and the price reflects the plant, not the story. Number 2, aloe vera, retailing between $6 and $30 at grocery stores, pharmacies, garden centers, and mass market retailers, with documented cultivation and use records extending back to ancient Egyptian botanical records, and an active ingredient profile that has survived peer review in modern dermatology literature. Aloe vera gel contains acemannan, a polysaccharide compound with documented wound healing and anti-inflammatory properties in peer-reviewed studies published in journals, including the Journal of Dermatological Treatment and Burns. A direct comparison study examining first and second degree burn treatment found aloe vera gel application associated with faster healing time versus petroleum gauze in a controlled clinical setting. The FDA has classified aloe vera gel as generally recognized as safe for topical use. The plant requires minimal water, tolerates neglect, produces usable gel from mature leaves without killing the plant, and propagates through offshoots at no incremental cost. Wholesale cost for standard aloe vera specimens runs between $1 and $4. The absence of a venture-backed branding layer means the consumer captures nearly the full commodity value of the plant at purchase. Aloe vera is listed as mildly toxic to dogs and cats if ingested in quantity due to anthraquinone compounds in the latex layer beneath the skin, but the gel itself is the relevant consumer product and is non-irritating in topical use. For the consumer, a $6 aloe vera plant at the grocery store delivers documented dermatological utility that a $60 branded wellness plant cannot demonstrate in peer-reviewed literature. Number 1. Lavandula or aloe represents strong evidence, but the most complete case in this ranking belongs to Rosmarinus officinalis, now reclassified as Salvia rosmarinus, common rosemary, retailing between $4 and $18 at garden centers, grocery stores, and herb nurseries, with no premium brand architecture and a pharmacological literature record that significantly outpaces every ornamental wellness plant in this ranking. Rosemary contains rosmarinic acid and carnosic acid, both documented in published pharmacological literature as compounds with antioxidant and antimicrobial activity. More relevant to home environment, a study published in Therapeutic Advances in Psychopharmacology exposed participants to diffused 1,8-cineol, the primary terpene in rosemary, and measured plasma levels alongside cognitive performance scores. Participants with higher blood serum 1,8-cineol concentrations showed statistically significant improvements in working memory and alertness scores. A separate study at the University of Northumbria recorded a 75% improvement in perspective memory accuracy in a rosemary-scented room versus an unscented control room. Rosemary is listed as non-toxic to humans by poison control standards, mildly irritating to cats in large ingested quantities but not acutely toxic, and ASPCA listed as non-toxic for dogs. The plant grows in a standard pot, tolerates south-facing window light, produces fresh culinary herb at no additional cost, and propagates from stem cuttings without specialized equipment. Wholesale cost to retailers runs between 80 cents and $3.50. No holding company, no venture funding, no air purification claims extrapolated beyond the study conditions. Rosemary closes this list as the outlier. The wellness plant industry would prefer you not compare it to its premium-priced offerings. Across the 10 plants analyzed, one pattern stands out above the rest. Price in the houseplant market is almost entirely a function of brand architecture, pot cost, and retail placement fees. The biology is rarely the variable. The most toxicologically risky plants in this ranking are sold openly with wellness framing. The most pharmacologically documented plants are priced as commodities and sold without branding. In a category where the product is alive and the claims are centuries old, the gap between what you pay and what you get is almost never found in the soil. It is found in the story being sold around the plant. Choose with your head. Buy for yourself.